Ally PLM.
So let's look at customizing the user interface. We're going to first look at changing the sizes of icons, adding commands to border bars, creating our own custom tab in the ribbon menu, turning off and on tabs in the resource bar, and then also editing columns. The first thing we notice across the top border bar is that the icons are pretty small. They're a little bit hard to see. So let's take a look at how we change that in NX. I'm going to right click in the ribbon menu and then go to Customize, Icons Tooltips, and notice the top and bottom border bars, the icons are set to extra small. We're going to change that to small, and notice that these icons are a little bit more legible. Still doesn't take up a lot of room in the graphics window, but they are a little bit bigger than what they were before, so that we can display those easily. Next, let's look at adding commands to border bars. So we have the top border bar, and then we also have a right and a left border bar. However, there's no commands in those border bars. So we're going to look at how we add commands to specific border bars. So for example, across the top border bar, maybe I want to add some commands that I normally like to use. I'm going to add some commands out of the Analysis tab in the ribbon menu. So I'm going to go to the Analysis tab, and a couple of these that I typically use would be Measure Angle. So I'm simply going to right click on Measure Angle and add that to the top border bar. Notice now I have Measure Angle. Also, I'm going to get another one out of here, this Simple Diameter. I'm going to right click on that, add that to the top border bar. And then also Simple Radius, add that to the top border bar as well. Next, I'm going to go to the View tab, and I'm going to add Edit Section to the right border bar. Notice it's starting to build a right border bar over here on the right side of our graphics window. And I'm also going to do Clip Section on the right border bar as well. And then for the left border bar, I'm going to add some curve commands that I normally use. I'm going to right click on the line command, add that to the left border bar, arc circle, and then also curve on surface. So good. Now I've got commands on the left border bar, right border bar, and then across the top. And again, these are still available even though I'm clicking through the different tabs in the ribbon menu. These are always going to be there, always ready for me to use. Next, let's look at creating our own custom tab. These are the standard tabs across the top. We're going to look at adding our own custom tab with some of the commands that we frequently use. So to do that, I'm going to right click in the open area in the ribbon menu, go to Customize, go to the Tabs Bars tab, and I'm going to create a new tab. The default name is Custom Tab 1. We'll accept that. And notice I have a new tab that's being created here. And to add commands to our new custom tab, I'm going to go to the Commands tab, All Tabs, and I'm going to get a couple of these from the Home tab. So for example, I want to add Create Tool to my new custom tab. So to do that, I'm simply just going to drag and drop that into my new custom tab. I also want to do Create Operation. I'm going to place that in there as well. And then I'm also want some of the commands that are in the Actions drop down. So I'm going to drag the Actions drop down menu into the new custom tab. And for example here, maybe I only want a couple of these in there and I don't want those to be in the drop down. So for example, I want to use this cut object. I'll simply drag it out by itself. Copy object and paste object. Those are the only three that I want out of this drop down. So now I'm just going to simply delete that drop down out of there. So now I have these as individual commands, again right here in the custom tab. And the last, I'm going to add two more of these. I'm going to use the edit toolpath. I'm going to add that in there as well. And the gouge check. Again, these are the ones that I frequently use, so you could build your own custom tab. Right, and I also want to make mention that we can turn off and on these tabs over here on the resource bar. So there are several of these that you may not use, so you can actually turn those off and on. One way to do that, for example here, we're going to take this HD 3D Tools and right click on it, and we can actually just hide that tab. So again, to kind of clean this up, so the ones maybe that you don't use or don't use often, you can just simply hide those tabs on the resource bar. And then to bring those back, notice we do have the resource bar options. I can click on the resource bar options, go to tabs, and then turn those back on if I needed to. So notice I turned on the HD 3D back on in the resource bar. And then the last thing I want to cover for our user interface customization is columns. Now I want to look at editing columns in our resource bar. Notice I'm in the program order view and I have a time column, a tool change column, and a path column that shows whether a path has been generated or not. Well, I want to customize this, so what I really want is I want to see a tool change and then also a tool number. So to do that, I'm going to right click in the open area, go to columns, notice the list of columns that I can turn off and on. These are the ones that are on currently. Notice tool number is not on currently. So I'm going to turn tool number on, and it is actually displayed right here. But I want to actually move this over in the list so that I don't have to have this open near as much. I want to see maximize the graphics window. So I want to change that so that it's between tool change and path. To do that, I'm going to right click in the open area again and go to Properties, Columns tab. Notice I can change the order and toggle off and on certain columns in certain views, so machine tool view, geometry view, and so on. So I'm in the program order view, and I'm simply going to select tool number and then move it up in the list so that it is displayed before the path. I'll apply those changes, and now I have the time, tool change, and then also the tool number displayed. So hopefully that gave you a good idea of some useful user interface changes. Again, we can change the sizes of icons, add commands that we frequently use to border bars, create our own tab, and then maybe clean up our resource bar, and then also edit, add, and remove columns from the resource bar.
Ally PLM,